A week before his death, Miyamoto Musashi, Japan's most legendary samurai, the man who won more than 60 deadly duels, wrote a text of 21 rules. It wasn't a combat manual, it was a manual for life. And one of those rules is so difficult to follow that most people can't even manage to stick to it for a whole day. Live without attachment. It seems simple, right? It may be simple, but it's not easy. Because it's not about superficial emotional detachment, letting go or thinking positive. It's about something deeper. Musashi wasn't talking about objects. He was talking about people, regarding relationships, regarding your own identity, and especially about the unhealthy need to be accepted. Today you'll hear Aiden's story, a 23-year-old who was trapped in a life that wasn't his, trapped by invisible attachments, trapped by friendships that seemed good but were draining his future, trapped by the constant need to please everyone around him. Until a forgotten book in a library changed everything. But before we begin the story, if you want to learn profound philosophies that can truly transform your life, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment below, "I'm ready to let go." This helps more people find this content. Now let's go. Chapter 1. The Social Prisoner. Aiden was 23 years old. Simple family. Father a factory worker, mother a saleswoman. Hard-working, honest people who always gave their best for him. But Aiden knew that the best wouldn't be enough when his parents retired. He looked to the future and saw worry, bills, health, dignity in old age. And he wanted to change that. I wanted to build something better, to ensure that the parents were comfortable. One day, you'll be able to build your own family without the same worries. The problem? Aiden was completely frozen, and he didn't even realize why. Let's understand his routine. He would wake up early and go to work, an administrative job that paid the bills but didn't lead anywhere. After work, there was always someone calling. "Aiden, shall we go to the bar? Aiden, are we going to play today? Aiden, come over to my house, let's watch the game." And he was going. I always went. Because Aiden had a deep fear of letting people down, being a bore, to be the different one who no longer shows up. His friends were divided into two groups. The first group, people with money, children of business owners, of executives, people who didn't need to worry about the future because the future was already guaranteed. They lived well. They went out every weekend. They traveled. And Aiden? Aiden was struggling to keep up. He was spending money he didn't have. He pretended to be comfortable because he didn't want to be seen as the poor one in the group. The second group, people without money, but also without ambition. People who lived day to day. I worked, I got paid, I spent, I wasn't planning anything. I wasn't dreaming about anything. And worse, he saw no problem with it at all. Relax, Aiden. Life is short, man. Why so much stress? Enjoy the present. And Aiden, it's on because he was afraid of being judged. Fear of being different. Fear of being alone. So he did what everyone expected of him. I used to go to parties, I replied to all messages, he accepted all invitations, and when there was finally some free time, when he tried to study, read, plan something, his head was exhausted. Not for work, but it's about trying to please everyone. One Saturday afternoon, Aiden decided, today I'm going to focus. He grabbed his laptop and went to the public library near his house. Silence, tranquil environment, perfect for studying. He opened an online course that he had purchased months ago. I had already attended the first class about 3 times, but it never went beyond that. Because there was always something more urgent. There was always someone who needed him. I always had a good enough excuse. But today was going to be different. At least that's what he thought. 10 minutes later, Aiden had his cell phone in his hand, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I'm just going to take a quick look. 30 minutes later, still on the phone. He hadn't even noticed the time passing. That's when something caught his attention. On the next table there was a book, small, black cover, worn. It looked old but well cared for. Aiden looked around. Nobody at the table. Someone probably forgot it there. He stretched out his arm and pulled the book closer. The cover had embossed gold lettering, Dokkodo, the way of walking alone. Dokkodo. He had never heard of it. He opened the first page, and right away he read, "Don't cling to excessive desires. Don't depend on others. Don't get attached to anything, not even life." Aiden frowned. "What's going on here?" He continued reading. "Do not seek pleasure through your own senses. Don't hold regrets about yourself." Each sentence was like a punch, straightforward, no beating around the bush, no explanation needed. And every sentence seemed to be shouting something at him, something he didn't want to hear, but it was necessary. Aiden was so engrossed in his book that he didn't even notice someone approaching. "You found my book." He got a fright. He raised his head and saw a young Asian woman, appearing to be the same age as him. Straight black hair to her shoulders, discreet glasses, a calm yet firm gaze. She was standing beside the table with a cup of coffee in her hand. "Sorry." Aiden quickly closed the book and handed it to her. "I thought someone had left it here." She smiled slightly. "I had forgotten. I went to get a coffee and left it on the table." "So the book is yours?" "Try." Aiden looked at the book, then at her. "What a heavy book, huh?" She sat in the chair opposite him and took the book back. "How heavy?" "I don't know those phrases. Don't get attached to anything, not even life." "That's too radical." She took a sip of her coffee. "It's Musashi." He didn't mince words. "Musashi. Miyamoto Musashi, legendary samurai. He wrote this book a week before he died. It contains 21 principles on how to live." Aiden was silent for a moment. "And does it work? Like, do you follow those rules?" She smiled again. "I am trying." "And why are you reading this? What's your deal?" The young woman tilted her head thoughtfully. "Because I was emotionally trapped. Trapped in expectations. Trapped trying to please everyone. Trapped trying to be who others wanted me to be." Aiden felt a chill. That was exactly how he felt. "And did this book help you?" "It's helping. It's not easy, but it's changing the way I see things." She held out her hand. "My name is Hana." "Aiden." The two shook hands, and without knowing it, at that moment, Aiden's life began to change. Chapter 2: The Loan. Aiden and Hana talked for almost an hour about the book, about Musashi, on the philosophy of detachment, and the more she explained, the more Aiden realized how trapped he was. "Do you know what Musashi meant by 'don't depend on others'?" Hana asked. Aiden shook his head. "He wasn't telling you to be cold, or to have no friends, or to love no one." "So what did he mean?" "He meant, don't build your identity on the approval of others. Don't let other people's opinions determine who you are. Don't depend emotionally on anyone to feel complete." Aiden remained silent, processing. "And how do you do that?" he asked. Hana shrugged. "You start small. You stop saying yes to everything. You stop molding yourself to fit into groups. You start making decisions based on what you want, not on what others expect of you." "But what if people drift away?" "So they weren't his people." The phrase landed like a bombshell. Aiden had never thought of it that way. He always believed that friendship was about being there. Always. But perhaps true friendship was about mutual respect and not about obligation. Hana picked up the book and handed it to him. "Want to borrow it?" "Serious?" "Seriously, I think you need it more than I do right now." Aiden picked up the book carefully, as if it were something sacred. "I take good care of it." "I know." Before leaving, Hana wrote her number down on a piece of paper. "If you have any questions, just give me a call, or if you'd like to talk about the book." Aiden frowned. "Thank you, Hana." She waved and left the library, and Aiden stood there staring at the book in his hands, feeling that something had just begun. In the following weeks, Aiden devoured the Dokkodo. He read it, reread it, and took notes. And he started applying it. It started with small things. Example, when his friends invited him to go out during the week, he would say no. Simple as that. No. No elaborate excuse needed. Without dramatic justification, simply, "I can't today." At first, they found it strange. "What's wrong, Aiden? Are you okay? Are you turning into a nerd now?" He took a deep breath. and he remembered the book. Don't cling to excessive desires. Don't depend on others. Then he replied, I'm focusing on other things right now, guys. Some understood, others only disappeared. And do you know what Aiden felt? Relief. Because for the first time he was being honest with himself. He started using his free time to really study, for reading, for planning. He'd had a business idea for a long time, a digital consulting service for small businesses, but I had never taken it off the drawing board, because I never had time, because he was always busy with things that didn't matter. Now, he was building, slowly, but building. Chapter 3. The True Connection. Aiden and Hana started meeting regularly. Coffee, library, parks. They talked about philosophy, about life, about challenges, and Aiden noticed something interesting. Hana wasn't trying to impress anyone. She was herself. No filter, no mask, and that was extremely appealing, not because she was perfect, but because she was real. One day, while they were walking through a park, Aiden asked, Hana, how did you learn all this? About Musashi, about detachment? She remained silent for a moment. Then he said, My grandparents. Your grandparents? Yes, they raised me. My parents died when I was a child. Car accident. Aiden stopped walking. I am really sorry. Hana gave a half smile. It was a long time ago. I was little. I don't even remember them very well. And your grandparents, are they Japanese? Yes, they came to the United States in the 80s. They brought a lot of culture with them, including books. And did they teach you about Musashi? Not directly, but they live by the principles, especially my grandfather. He is very disciplined, focused, detached. Aiden frowned. I wanted to meet them. Hana looked at him with a glint in her eye. Then come have dinner with us this weekend. Serious? Seriously, they're going to like you. Chapter 4. 2 months home. On Saturday night, Aiden was nervous. He had never met someone's family like that before. In such a natural way. No pressure, no expectations, just getting to know. Hana's grandparents' house was simple, but impeccably organized. A small Zen garden at the entrance, carefully pruned bonsai trees. Everything in its right place. Hana opened the door and called out, Oji-san, Oba-san, I arrived. An elderly couple appeared in the room. The grandfather was a thin man, with an upright posture and neatly cut white hair. Grandma was small, smiling, with wrinkles around her eyes that indicated a lifetime of smiles. This is Aiden, Hana introduced. The grandfather extended his hand firmly. Nice to meet you, Aiden. I'm Akira. The grandmother gave a small bow. And I'm Sakura. Welcome. Dinner was peaceful. Homemade Japanese food. Rice, miso soup, grilled fish. Light-hearted conversations about the day, about Aiden's work, about how he met Hana. But after dinner, everything changed after dinner. Akira served green tea to everyone and sat down at the table. Hana told me that you're reading Dokkodo, he said. I am, Aiden replied. She lent me the book. Akira nodded. And what did you think? Aiden thought for a moment. Heavy, very direct, and scary. Scary? Yes, because it seems impossible to follow those rules, especially the one about not depending on others. How can anyone live like that? Akira smiled. You're asking the wrong question. Aiden frowned. Like this? The question isn't, how does someone live like this? The question is, how does someone live without it? Sakura added in her soft voice. Aiden, have you ever realized how many decisions you make each day thinking about what others will think? Aiden remained silent. Yes, he understood. Musashi wasn't telling you to abandon people, Akira continued. He was saying, don't let people abandon you. I didn't understand. Akira leaned forward. When you live to please others, you lose yourself. You become an edited, filtered, acceptable, but fake version. And then what? Who do people really love? You, or the version you created? The phrase kept echoing in Aiden's head. Sakura tenderly took his hand. Detachment isn't about not loving. It's about loving without losing yourself. It's about being present without negating yourself. Akira continued. Musashi lived and died alone, but not because he hated people. He chose this because he knew his journey demanded total clarity. No distractions, no compromises that would divert him from his path. But I don't want to live alone, Aiden admitted. And you don't have to, Hana chimed in. Dokkodo isn't a mandatory recipe. It's a mirror. It shows you where you're stuck, and you decide what to do with it. Akira nodded. The lesson isn't live alone. The lesson is, don't live in fear of being alone. Because when you're afraid of loneliness, you accept any company, and that destroys you. Aiden felt a lump in his throat, because he knew Akira was right. How many times had he accepted bad situations just to avoid being alone? How many times had he betrayed his own values in order to be accepted? So what do I do? Aiden asked. Akira smiled. You start to choose, consciously. You stop living on autopilot, and whenever you have to make a decision, you ask yourself, am I doing this because I want to, or because I'm afraid of what people will think? Sakura added, and when you start doing that, some people will leave you, and that's okay, because the right people will stay, and they will respect you even more for it. Aiden looked at Hana. She was smiling because she knew exactly what he was feeling. She had been through this before. There's a passage in Dokkodo that says, don't try to have everything. And this goes straight to the heart of modern attachment. We live in a culture that says, you need more money, more followers, more recognition, more. But Musashi was saying the opposite. The less you need, the freer you are. And this is not romanticizing poverty. It's a war strategy. Because on the battlefield, a samurai burdened with unnecessary things dies first. He is slow, heavy, vulnerable. The same thing happens in life. The more attachments you carry, whether emotional, material, or social, the more vulnerable you become. Because these attachments become points of manipulation. If you're obsessed with approval, any criticism will paralyze you. If you're attached to comfort, any challenge scares you. If you become attached to someone, you become a hostage to their choices. Musashi understood this, and that is why he said, don't get attached to anything, not even life. Because when you're not afraid to lose, you become unbeatable. Chapter 5. The Transformation. In the following months, Aiden's life changed completely. He applied what he had learned, cut off toxic relationships, not in a dramatic way, not with fights or resentment. He simply walked away. He stopped replying to all messages immediately. He stopped accepting all invitations. He stopped making excuses. And do you know what happened? Some people have disappeared. Others complained. But the ones that really mattered remained. And more than that, they began to respect him even more. Because now when Aiden said yes to something, it was a real yes. It wasn't an obligation, it was a choice. Meanwhile, he focused on the business. He launched his digital consulting firm. The first clients were small, projects costing $500, $1,000. But he delivered with excellence, and the customers kept coming back, they indicated. Within 6 months, he was earning more than in his regular job. He resigned. And for the first time in his life, he felt he was in control. With Hana, the relationship grew naturally. No pressure, no unrealistic expectations. They supported each other, but they didn't depend on each other, and that made everything lighter, more true. A year after meeting Hana, Aiden had already managed to help his parents financially. He bought them a better health insurance plan. He renovated the house. He ensured they had dignity. And he did it not out of obligation, but for love, because he wanted to. One night, Aiden invited Hana to dinner, in a simple but special restaurant. The same park where they used to walk was nearby. After dinner, they went for a walk, and halfway there, Aiden stopped. He looked at her. "Hana, you changed my life," she smiled. "You changed your life. I only lent you a book." "No, It was more than that. You showed me that it's possible to live differently, that it's possible to be yourself without apologizing. Hana held his hand. And now? What's the next step? Aiden took a deep breath. He took a small box out of his pocket, and he knelt down. Marry me. Hana's eyes filled with tears. Serious? Seriously, not because I need you, but because I choose you, every day, and I want to keep choosing you. Hana laughed, crying as she went, Yes, 1,000 times yes. But there's one detail that most people don't understand about Dokkodo, and that detail changes everything. Musashi wrote the book a week before he died. He knew he was going to die. He was at peace with it. And do you know why? Because he had lived without regrets. He wasn't attached to life. He wasn't attached to what people thought of him. He wasn't attached to the legacy. He simply lived in the truest way possible. And that's what most people never manage to do. We live in such fear of losing that we never truly live. We hold on to things so tightly, afraid to let go, that we never truly manage to hold on to anything. So here's the question Musashi would ask you. If you knew you were going to die in a week, what would you change today? What relationship would you cut off? What dream would you ultimately pursue? What truth would you finally reveal? Because deep down, people know. We always knew. But attachment prevents us from acting. The attachment to security, the obsession with approval, the attachment to comfort. And then life goes by. And in the end, what's left? Repentance. Musashi did not die with regrets, because he lived without attachments. Aiden married Hana 2 years after that day in the library. The ceremony was simple, family and close friends. Akira and Sakura were in the front row, smiling. And when Aiden took his vows, he said something that surprised everyone. Hana, I promise to love you, but I don't promise to complete you because I don't need you to be whole. And you don't need me. We choose to be together. And that's much more powerful than any need. The people at the ceremony fell silent. Some people found it strange, but those who truly understood knew that this was true love. Love without attachment. Love that liberates, not that imprisons. Today, Aiden has a well-established company. He works doing what he loves, help your parents financially, and he built a life that he chose, not a life that was chosen for him. And it all started with a book that had been forgotten in a library. A book that taught him Musashi's most difficult rule: live without attachment. Not because you don't care, but because you care enough about yourself and not to lose yourself in others. So here's my final question for you. What are you clinging to? Whose approval? What am I afraid of? What is the need for? Because while you're in prison, you will never be free, and freedom is the only thing that truly matters. If this video made sense to you, comment below. I'm ready to let go. Because the first step in transformation is admitting that you're stuck. Thank you very much for your attention. Reflect on everything that was said in this video. See you in the next video.